Hey guys, how's it going today? Hello, hello. We are going to watch the sentencing of Brendan Banfield. We're in Fairfax, Virginia today, an area that I'm very familiar with. And we covered this trial about it's been a few months now, right? I think was it beginning of this year, I think. So Brendan Banfield, man from Virginia, working for the IRS. He thought it was a good idea to murder his wife, mother of his child, for a 23-year-old Brazilian au pair who was staying with him in their house because, they needed help raising their kid. And he thought it was like a good idea to murder his wife and replace her with this young 23-year-old girl that he was so infatuated with. Now, let me tell you something. This wasn't a relationship that was like they weren't together for years. They weren't together for I don't think they even hit the half a year mark? I don't think so. He was only having an affair with this 23-year-old for a few months. I think 2 months into it was when he was like, "You know what? I think it'll be a good idea to have my wife murdered, but you know what? I have to make sure it doesn't come back to me. So this is how we're going to do things. I'm not going to murder my wife. You're not going to murder my wife. We're going to hire someone to do it, but we have to make sure it doesn't tie back to me." So they go through this really elaborate plan of making a fake like fetish account for his wife, pretending to be her. They took turns. Sometimes they would go to the gym, they would take turns making sure that two people were in the house at the same time
Sup,
while they were
Corgians
using
chat.
this
Hey,
this
hey,
FetLife
ladies,
account. And
sitters.
they always made sure that Christine, one of the victims, was nearby just in case they were to do some digital cell phone tracking. But here's the thing though, even though Christine was always at home where the devices were when the interactions on FetLife happened or the emails, well, you know who else was also home? Either Brendan Banfield or the au pair. Man, these two they really did not think things through. And so they set up this man named Joseph Ryan, and it was supposed to be a consensual sex thing where it's like, hey, I want to stage this, fetish thing where you come into my house, break in, and we're going to engage in this consensual sex where, honestly, there's a lot of red flags about it. And I do feel really bad for Joseph Ryan. It seems like he thought he found someone that he connected with and he decided to go with it. There were some red flags like, hey, we've never met before. Hey, I don't want to meet you in person. I think the only time that they talked was over the phone. It wasn't like FaceTime or anything like that. They asked Joseph Ryan to show up with a knife, and he did that to show up with, restraints and all that stuff. But unfortunately, this plan goes through. The au pair, Brendan, and I think the child was like 4 years old at the time. They were all at the house. They pretend to leave. Brendan goes to McDonald's. The au pair is sitting in the driveway, or not the driveway, but nearby. And she's pretending to load the child into the car for like a zoo day, right? It's like Brendan's birthday. And so the whole thing was supposed to be she's in the driveway pretending to load up the kid, and she sees this mysterious car just show up in front of the house, pulls up, and then goes into the house. And for some reason, instead of just thinking of it like, oh, maybe Christine just has a friend visiting, apparently she goes into panic mode. She tries to call Christine. Christine doesn't answer. And then she tries to call Brandon. Brandon answers. And she's like, Brandon, hurry up. Get over here. There's a mysterious man who just like walked through your door. And so for some reason, instead of calling 911 right away, or instead of like I said, just thinking like, oh, maybe Christine just has a friend over. Apparently, they have this elaborate scheme where they enter through the basement. The child's with them, the 4-year-old, and they both have guns. And while this is happening, they go upstairs, they confront the guy, and this is supposed to be like some sort of attack that's happening on Christine. And so Brendan's story was, oh, this man was attacking her, and so I shot him. But you see, there's something called crime scene investigation where the blood splatters didn't really match the blood droplets. If you watch Dexter, they do the whole like the CSI stuff, with all the blood splatters. And the story just did not make sense. It did not align with what Brendan and Christine were purporting, that they walked in on Christine getting attacked. They had no idea why she was getting attacked. And that's why they intervened. And they just happened to have firearms on them and just like, shot him. I think Brendan typically carries a firearm because he works with the IRS. Now, if you're thinking of the IRS or the is a department where they go after you for not paying your taxes. Well, there are some divisions in the IRS where they do have firearms and they do have more of like intensive investigation. I think that's the part that Brendan was in. But Juliana also had a firearm. Apparently, her story was that, oh, she ran into the safe and grabbed a firearm because there's struggling happening between Brendan and the attacker. But as we were listening into the trial, the real story that comes out, the state theorizes that Brendan and Juliana, the au pair, staged this whole fake rape rescue thing. And not only did they shoot Joseph Ryan, they went over to Christine. Juliana accidentally calls 911, and you can hear someone crying in the background. It might be Joseph Ryan. And at this point, Christine's probably thinking, what is happening here? Why did you... Brendan apparently like signals to Juliana to like cut the phone and tells her to hang up. So she hangs up. And so Christine's probably wondering, I just got attacked by this guy while I was sleeping. You guys are here to rescue me. Why did you hang up calling 911? And at this point, this is where the state believes that Brendan turned on Christine and started stabbing her many, many times. Can you imagine what Christine's last thoughts are? There's just so many things that are happening. Christine was attacked by a man that she doesn't know. And then not only that, the au pair, Brendan, walks into the house. She thought she was being rescued, and she ends up getting attacked by Brendan. So that's some really fucked up shit. Hi, Rain. Hi, Taxi. How are you doing today? Lady Joe. Hello, hello. Oh, Joe, thank you so much for the resub for 57 months. How are you doing today? What's up, guys? So we're here today for the sentencing. Now, what's interesting about this, man, there's just so many interesting things about this case. We saw the body cam footage of when law enforcement went into the crime scene. We saw Brendan Banfield trying to, fake cry, fake limping. And he was just like, oh my God, he was just like a sorry sack of like dicks, okay? When you're watching him and he's just trying to pretend like he cared that his wife died and was murdered. He didn't. He didn't. Brendan is just, he's just like a sneaky little weasel. Now, apparently today in sentencing, he's being sentenced by Judge Penny, by the way. If you guys see her, you might recognize her. And apparently he's like, I didn't do it. There was an injustice. This is an injustice on me, an injustice on Christine, and I didn't do it. Apparently yesterday he tried to have the verdict tossed out. I think this was behind closed doors. It wasn't live stream or anything like that. But I do have a video lined up that we can watch together. So apparently he was like, yeah, I think there were 3 things that he mentioned. And apparently it was like shut down by the judge pretty quickly. I think the first one was, he had a right to remain silent and the state used it against him. However, what the state really did was they were like, hey, this man wasn't cooperating with us. He wasn't arrested, but he wasn't cooperating with us, which is kind of weird. Why wouldn't he cooperate with us if he had nothing to do with murdering his wife? And if he claims that it was self-defense with Joseph Ryan, like, why aren't you cooperating with us? So that's what the state used against him. The second thing was, oh my gosh, this was like one of the amazing parts of watching a trial with you guys sometimes, because sometimes we have these surprise guests. In rebuttal, there was a man who decided to hit up the prosecutors and was like, hey, I'm going to testify. And his testimony was, well, let me back it up a little bit. Brendan claims that day when Christine was murdered, he was supposed to get a promotion. He was meeting with his bosses and they're going to promote him, whatever. However, in rebuttal, this witness must have watched the trial, was like, what the fuck is this guy saying? Because the witness was like, hey, I'm the supervisor of Brendan during that time. There was no promotion. This guy is lying to you. Isn't that crazy? Having someone that works for the IRS, their supervisor, show up at your court trial telling the jury that this guy's lying and there's no promotion that was happening. There's no special day for him. So there was that. And then lastly, there was the third thing where during the trial, well, guess who else decides to testify against Brendan Banfield? The au pair. The au pair, after being, I think she was in jail for about a year. Brendan and his mom tried to pay for her attorney fees, but she was like, at some point she realized like, oh, I'm looking at life in prison. I don't want to do this anymore. So she decides to work with law enforcement and tell them everything that she knew. And from her testimony, we found out a lot. And it was not a good look for Brendan. So that's pretty much the preview for you guys. you guys haven't heard about this case, there you go. Or if it's been a while since you watched the trial, I did do like a major recap video of the trial. If you guys are very curious, it was very interesting because not only do we have an au pair who decides to turn on him and testify, the blood evidence against him, and then his supervisor testifying. He actually also testified in the trial. He tried to make Christine look like the bad guy, like, oh, well, I'm cheating, but she's also a cheater too. It's like, okay, all right, we've seen that before, victim blaming and all that. But all right, let's get it over to the sentencing. Oh, well, before that, I did mention I was watching a video together. But anyways, how are you guys doing today? Hello, hello. How have you guys been? We've been covering the Corey Richards trial sidebars, so I haven't really been able to cover anything else. But I hope you guys have been well, and thanks for joining us in the live stream. All right, so let's talk about yesterday's hearing. Brendan is simp final form, dude. It's just so crazy to me. The man must have been so desperate. He must have been so utterly just like infatuated in love with this 23-year-old. It's like, dude, one, you haven't been dating for that long. Two, she's young. Come on now. Like, I don't know, man. He probably didn't think someone as young as her would be into him. Okay, all right. Let's watch this. How was your eye appointment? It was good. There's these new pair of glasses that I wanted for when I play sports, but because my nose gets really sweaty, I wasn't sure if it was going to stick on my face. I was like, hey, do you mind if I like jog around the block really quick in the sun so I can come back, be a little sweaty, and then try the glasses on and jump around to see if it falls off my nose? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm like, cool. So that's why it took a little bit longer, because I ran around the block to do that. All right, I think the audio should be okay. Let's see.
In what felt like record time.
Just kidding. The audio's not okay. The audio's never okay. Why is the audio always like this? Y'all need to boost up your audios. Let's do volume master. All right, guys. Boosting up the audio for y'all.
Less than 20 minutes, the judge
denied his motion in the au pair affair trial and has the latest.
Brendan Banfield's Hail Mary attempt to get his aggravated murder convictions thrown out was shot down in what felt like record time. Less
than 20 minutes. That's crazy. I wonder how long the argument lasted. I mean, the argument must have been less than 20 minutes then, right? So he tries to get the verdict tossed out, and Judge Penny was like, no, you're having your sentencing tomorrow. Good luck.
Than 20 minutes, the judge shot down the argument that he was making that there were errors committed at his trial.
The day before he's sentenced to life in prison, former IRS agent and convicted double murderer Brendan Banfield tried to get his convictions thrown out, claiming the court allowed prosecutors to make 3 errors during his trial earlier.
Oh, and by the way, so he's charged for the double murder because the allegation was that he was the one that stabbed Christine, and he was also the one that shot Joseph Ryan. He shot Joseph Ryan when he entered into the bedroom, and then Joseph was still alive while Christine was still murdered. And so there was the killing shot. But actually, you know what? Was the killing shot done by Juliana? I think she participated too. I think she participated in the last shot, if I remember correctly. What was her plea deal again?
This year, and that those errors led the jury to convict him. The court didn't buy it today, but here's the gist of his argument. First, Banfield's defense attorney claimed his Miranda rights were violated. You know, the whole, you have the right to remain silent, anything you say can be used against you in court. Well, during his trial, prosecutors pointed out that Banfield never cooperated with police.
Which doesn't make sense. Your wife was just murdered in front of you. Why don't you want to cooperate? It's self-defense, right? That's what he was claiming, that it was self-defense. And you know what? Brendan wasn't arrested for, I think, almost 2 years. Juliana was arrested about half a year after the murders happened. She was incarcerated for about a year. So I think Brendan wasn't arrested until a year and a half because Juliana started cooperating, right? Or did Juliana cooperate when he was arrested? A little fuzzy on the timeline for that.
He wouldn't come in, he wouldn't be interviewed, and prosecutors suggested that silence is awfully suspicious for a man who claims he has nothing to hide.
Yep.
The court said that was perfectly legal for prosecutors to point out because he hadn't been arrested yet. So his silence and lack of cooperation was not protected by Miranda. Claim 2 was that a surprise witness called by prosecutors should not have been allowed.
Ooh, this is one of my favorite witnesses for the trial, the supervisor.
Prosecutors called Banfield's former boss at IRS after he contacted them to say Banfield's testimony was a lie. The court said that witness was fine.
Oh, I remember this prosecutor was amazing. I love this prosecutor in this case. I think she cooperated, which got Brendan arrested. No, that's what I thought too, but no, I think there was a catalyst for her cooperating. There was something that made her want to cooperate. Like something happened. I can look it up later. Her plea was getting, oh, was that what it was? Oh, yeah. Her plea was getting 10 years. 10 years. She'll have like 70 years ahead of her. She lives like 100. And you know what the plan was? Oh, I don't know if you guys forgot, but do you guys remember all the tacky photos that they put up of each other? So after Christine dies, they erase Christine. Juliana moves into the bedroom, removes all of Christine's clothes, puts her trashy clothes in there, removes all pictures of Brendan and Christine and the family, and puts pictures of her and him where it's like these giant blow photos of them like, you know, hugging or kissing. And like, it's just like, oh my God, it was just like way too much. It was just way too much. So then when law enforcement came to arrest Juliana, they're like, huh, bedroom looks kind of different, doesn't it? Oh, the closet. Interesting. Your au pair moved into your bedroom where your wife was murdered and Joseph Ryan was murdered? Oh, kind of interesting.
Claim 3 was that the au pair with whom Banfield had an affair and with whom he carried.
What is this transition that they're doing? Are they doing it on purpose? It's like the substance face melt.
Claim 3 was that the au pair with whom Banfield
I love this transition. Her face is melting
had
right
an
now.
affair and with whom he carried out the murder plot gave false testimony, and prosecutors failed to correct her. The judge said the defense had every opportunity to cross-examine the witness and call out any testimony in question.
They did.
In short, Banfield's convictions stand.
All right, that's it. All right, so that's what I wanted to cover with you guys. And sorry, I do have to pause a lot when we're watching this new stuff, just for the copyright stuff. All right, let's get into the sentencing. It's pretty short. We are going to hear some victim impact statements. Brendan Banfield is there looking all hunchy. That's his attorney defending him. Is that attorney John? I'm trying to remember what his attorney's name is. I think it's John. I want to say it's John. The Juliana chick strikes you as a psychopath. 10 years is so shocking to me. She just wanted the fucking green card, okay? She was like, Brendan is the man. He is dreamy. Oh my gosh, I'm going to live my rich American life. Like, she just wanted to come over here. And I'm like, is it worth it? Like, I don't know. Like, you're young, 23 years old. You want to be tied down to this man? You think murder is worth it? I don't know. Like, just some really dumb people. That's what happens when dumb people just get together, I guess, and they start plotting. Like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. It's so wild. Brendan's mom said she was going to stop sending money to Brazil for Juliana. That's what made Juliana cooperate, I think. I can look it up really quick.
Attorney, the Commonwealth is present, comes today for sentencing. Are you ready to go forward today, Mr. Carroll? All right. I know you have.
Oh, Mr. Carroll. Mr. Carroll. Okay, I'm going to boost up this audio too, guys, so we can hear Judge Penny there. Hi, Judge Penny. Judge Penny's retiring, by the way, so I don't think we'll see Judge Penny anymore after this.
The pre-sentence investigation report with your client. Thank you for letting me know ahead of time what your corrections are. I have made the following corrections to the pre-sentence investigation report. It's on page 5, the marital summary. The second paragraph should reflect 2022 and replace 2018. On page 6, on the education narrative, Mr. Banfield attended St. Joseph's University and replace that in, is that Patchogue? Patchogue County, okay, and replace that with, replace Brooklyn, okay?
Yes, yes.
Page 8, second to last paragraph, Mr. Banfield indicates that the mental health professionals regularly spoke to him during his incarceration. He was also prescribed medication for depression, so made that amendment. And then on page 9, community supervision, Mr. Banfield is 41 years of age and should replace the entry of 42. So I've made those amendments to the pre-sentence investigation report. Does the Commonwealth have any? No, Judge. All right, I'll make the report part of the record then. At this point, I do have.
Do you guys remember who their kid is staying with? Christine's relatives, maybe? Yeah, Christine's relatives. I'm trying to remember, what was the trial where I think the child lost both parents, but then the family on the mother's side, I think, lived in like a different country. What case am I thinking of? Not Markel. Oh gosh, why can't I remember it?
I know, Mr. Carroll, you also noticed in your memorandum, you stated that you do not have any objection to the victim impact statements, the written ones that you have received. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So just for the record, the Commonwealth's evidence, the victim impact statements that I have reviewed are Joe Ryan's family's statement, Christine's parents' statement, Christine's sister's statement, Danielle Hocker, Hocker, Christine's uncle's statement, Joseph Fontana, Christine's friend's statement, Carrie Davis, Karri Davis, Christine's friend's statement, Lindsay Johnson, Christine's friend's statement, Lucille Priolo.
Oh, was it the Walsh? Maybe that was the one. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because Anna's mom is I don't remember what country she's in, but yeah. I wonder where the children are. Who are they with now? Yeah, that one's a really sad one. Yeah, that's the one, Amy. Oh, with her sister? Okay. I hope so. It's just really sad when kids lose both parents and they have to go into the system, and it's like, I don't know, like you always hope that it's, they find a family that's really loving but I don't know, it's tough. And it was originally from, Serbia. Thank you.
Priolo.
Hey, Chanzo.
Christine's friend's statement, Amanda de Oliveira Canto. And that's Oliveira Canto, Canto. And then Christine's friend's statement, Brad Garman. Is that that's all the written statements, correct?
Those are the written statements.
All right, I'll make those statements part of the record as well. Does Commonwealth have further evidence?
We do, Judge. We're going to have 3 witnesses.
All right. Mr. Carroll, do you have anything before their witnesses? You're still standing, so I'm just making sure.
I'm still standing. I
Okay.
just didn't know when I was.
Well, you can sit
It's going to
down.
be my turn. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, yes, your first witness.
Judge, we're going to call Danielle Hocker.
Okay, Mr. Hawk, Ms. Hocker.
Oh, and what I also didn't mention, Joe Ryan, the other victim in this case, I feel so bad for his family because initially Joe Ryan was made out as like some guy who, did the home invasion and murdered Christine. It wasn't until later on where, the truth comes out that Juliana and Brendan could have had something to do with it. So can you imagine how Joe Ryan's family feels? His mom? Super, super sad.
Testify truthfully in this case on a penalty of law.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Danielle Hocker.
And what is your relationship to Christine?
She's my sister.
And do you have some testimony that you would like to present to the judge about the loss of Christine in your life?
I would.
Please go
Thank
ahead.
you. Again, my name is Danielle Hocker, and Christine Banfield is my younger sister. My family has publicly stayed silent since my sister's murder, except for a brief statement after the trial concluded. We chose to protect Christine and Valerie to prevent the media from contorting our words or create fodder for keyboard warriors.
Valerie is Christine and Brendan's daughter. Or Valerie, losing both of your parents. It seems like they just thought that they can just easily replace Christine with the au pair. There was this really weird footage where the child asked the au pair, like, oh, like, can I call you mommy now or something like that? Are you gonna marry my daddy? And then the au pair is like, hopefully. It's like, okay, didn't Christine just get murdered? Do we not care about that? Obviously not.
We were, however, not spared the media's attention. In the hours following Christine's murder, I received a call from a reporter masked in sympathy, asking for a statement and pictures of Christine.
Oh no.
Since then, my husband and I have received countless calls and emails, but they pale in comparison to the overwhelming volume my parents have endured. Christine does, however, deserve to be talked about by those that loved her. Grief is not something that is done on display or shared except those closest to you, and even then, It is more often hides behind closed doors in quiet moments. Internally, I feel like a different person, like my identity has shifted in an unimaginable way. Part of who I was, who I still am, is a big sister. And in what seemed like seconds, it was taken from me, taken from us. While justice was served, it does not lift the grief or make more space for it. It will never bring Joseph Ryan back to his loved ones or Christine back to our family.
Also, it's not like Brendan is a stranger to Christine's family, because him and Christine they've been together since, I think, like high school sweethearts or college. They've been together for a very long time. So he knows her family members. They know him. The fact that not only did he betray Christine, but also the people that are supposed to be his in-laws, pretty wild.
In the 3 years since Christine's death, some days I feel like I'm living with a ticking time bomb waiting for it to explode. Fear and anxiety taking over, my mind telling my body that something else terrible is going to happen. I waited for answers, for more information. I was in a perpetual state of limbo. The daily messages I would receive with pictures of Valerie stopped and were replaced with calls from reporters wanting the next headline. The text Christine and I exchanged stopped. The evening call I would randomly get while she was driving home from work would never happen again. The trip I had booked to celebrate Valerie's 5th birthday the following month would not happen. Life as I knew it ended, yet I remained guilty for living and left without the one person who should have known me the longest, gone. When we were little, Christine and I would often get mistaken for twins. We were nearly 4 years apart, my baby sister, or my sissy, as I like to call her. We both had curly hair, but otherwise, I didn't understand what other people saw. When I look into a mirror, I sometimes see her first, my face replaced by hers, and in a flash, she's gone, and I'm left confused by my own reflection. She was her own person, never trying to be me, but always wanted to be by my side, and I hers. I don't remember much of my life before she was born. I have only a handful of memories that are more like looking at a picture. I do have a vivid memory of going to the baby doctor with my mom and Grammy, our maternal grandmother, who we also called Grammy Bird. Grammy would keep me entertained by walking.
Look at Brendan just sitting there. I wonder if he's going to try to shed any tears. Is he going to try? Or you think he's just going to sit there just like stone faced, like, oh, I didn't do it. I blame everyone.
Around outside and picking flowers. During one appointment, I was stung by a bee and became upset, wanting my mom. Grammy brought me inside, where a baby monitor showed a dark, blurry image I couldn't understand. As she held me, my mom pointed to it and said it was the baby. At just about 4 years old, the same age as Valerie was when Christine was killed, I was excited to be a big sister.
Aww.
Once she was born, I became we. I haven't stopped saying we when I speak about my childhood after her death, except now when I do, it takes my breath away, a pause filled with love that has nowhere to go. We were each other's first friends, sleeping in each other's bedrooms, in sleeping bags on the floor or in tents in the den. I climbed in her crib several times and attempted a solo diaper change unsuccessfully. Our best friends were sisters. We would stay up late on Saturday nights, waiting for our dad to come home from his 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. shift, watch Saturday Night Live, and eat hot bagels he picked up on his way home. Our favorite show was Full House, and we would get in giggle fits.
Dude, it looks so creepy. He's thinking about what he's going to write in his letter to Juliana. I actually wonder if they try to communicate with each other. I would assume not, but who knows? Maybe he has new pen pals that he can write to. You know, Murdoch apparently had some women in his fan club that were reaching out to him. Who knows? Maybe Brendan will too. Hey, Scissor, how are you doing today? Hello, how's it going?
At her grandparents' house for no reason. She would fall asleep anywhere, like a New Kids on the Block concert or in a short car ride, telling me to wake me up when we be there. She was obsessed with the Backstreet Boys, specifically Kevin from the Backstreet Boys. She loved them so much.
There's a Kevin.
She and her best friend camped outside a Rite Aid while the moms took turns sleeping in the car in a parking lot. This was the 90s. There was no internet, only a Ticketmaster at a drugstore. She loved Brad Pitt, legends of the fall Brad Pitt so much that if she had a boy, I was sure she would name him Tristan. Our childhood was spent at home, in our basement playroom. At friends' houses, we would call on our corded landline to see if they could come out and play.
I know people like to hate on Brad Pitt, but I actually like watching Brad Pitt in his movies. I know there was like this whole thing with Brad Pitt and chewing that people fucking hate, but I love Brad.
On family vacations, at our grandparents' houses in their pool, fishing on our dad or our grandfather's boats, crabbing off a dock with Grabby Bird, eating Entenmann's cakes and drinking coffee out of tiny cups at Lala Grandma and Grandpa's house, our paternal grandparents.
Going crabbing.
We got our first haircuts from our paternal grandfather, a professional barber in our backyard. And he would give us Charms lollipops from his in-home barbershop and shove $5 in our hands as we left.
Aww.
We didn't have internet until high school and cell phones until college. We played outside catching tiny frogs, lightning bugs in jars, and used our imaginations to find fun anywhere. We had family traditions that mostly revolved around food, Italian food to be specific. In our house, we ate macaroni, not pasta, and sauce, not gravy. Holidays, birthdays, Sunday dinners, and countless big and small events were spent with our aunts and uncles. Our grandparents were a large part of our upbringing as they were ever present in our lives. Grammy Bird passed away in September of 2022, just 5 months before Christine. Our family was still grieving her loss when Christine died.
But you know what Brendan was doing? Having a fucking affair, plotting the death of Christine.
Even though we may have looked similar, we each had our own distinct personalities. She was kind and caring and precocious as a little girl, thoughtful and wise beyond her years. It was no surprise when she said she wanted to be a nurse at a young age. Her warmth only grew as she got older.
Yep, Christine was a nurse. Brendan complained that Christine was too busy, that she didn't have the time to take care of him, to attend his needs. Yeah, she was working like 12-hour shifts being a nurse. Of course she was tired.
Had a way about her that made people feel comfortable and welcomed without effort. New people scared me, and I was awkward in social situations. She loved being around friends, and large groups didn't intimidate her like they did me. She was a resident advisor in college, always looking for ways to help others. She was reliable and selfless, and would give up her own time to help a friend in need. After she finished college, we found ourselves living in our childhood home again. It felt a little like we were kids again, but without the sleeping bags. It didn't last long as she started her first nursing job and wanting her independence. She lived her life at her own pace, and I didn't question her decisions unless she asked for guidance. I listened and asked questions so I could better understand what she needed before offering any advice. The memories we shared growing up helped shape my sense of love, family, and who I am. They felt simple and whole, filled with laughter, safety, and love. Since losing her, those same memories have changed. They are no longer just joyful, but layered with grief, each one a reminder of both how much I had and how much was taken. Christine was married the year before my husband Joe and I. I look back on this day with a heavy mix of emotions. I was so happy for her about to start her journey to becoming a family. That feeling is hard to hold onto now because it still feels like a happy memory, but mixed with a deep sadness. What rushes in now is the realization that we will never experience milestone events again. No birthdays, Thanksgivings, Christmases, family vacations, family traditions, no.
His defense attorney has more emotion than Brendan does. Brendan's just sitting there all blank face. This guy really does not care. Hi Corgi, I love Brad Pitt too. The only thing I found unbearable was he was in The Big Short. Wait, was he? I don't remember him in The Big Short. Was he eating in The Big Short?
No new memories to form. Our family will still celebrate, but there is a missing piece, an emptiness that fills the room. The weight of that feeling makes it hard to move through the day, like walking through water fully clothed. When Christine found out she was pregnant with Valerie, she was living in New York. Joe and I were living in New Hampshire. She mailed me a card that said, "I miss the crap out of you." It made me giggle, and when I opened it, there was a sonogram picture that immediately made me think of her on that baby monitor. I was so excited for her. Deep inside, I was sad for myself and my husband. Just the day before, I'd had an invasive test after several years of infertility, which led to more questions than answers. I never told Christine about that procedure, and I regret not leaning on her for support. 3 months after Christine's death, I was in the hospital recovering from surgery, finally getting answers. She should have been there, holding my hand and reassuring me that I would be okay after a nearly 8-hour procedure complicated by the von Willebrand's disease, the bleeding disorder that we shared.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that bleeding disorder. Okay, so just very briefly. That's right. Okay. So apparently, Brendan had crafted this profile for Christine that she had a fantasy about, knife play, right? Sex, knife play. And one of the testimonies was from her father, where he talks about how Christine had this bleeding disorder. It really just doesn't make sense. If you had this bleeding disorder, why would you want to engage in knife play or sex? Unless you really want to get into risky stuff. But apparently Christine wasn't taking risks like that. And then remember Brendan in his rebuttal, he was like, well, not rebuttal, but in his, when he presented his case in chief, they were like, well, look at Christine. She ran in the mud runner. What's it called? Mud runner? Fuck, what is it called again? The mud something. It's like this like intensive, running course thing where you're doing this like obstacle course and you're like doing it in the mud something like that. It's like, look at her. What do you mean? Oh, look, she went bungee or skydive. No, not skydive. She went not bungee, zip lining or something like that. I forgot. Like they're trying to show Christine like doing like these activities. And it was like, Christine wasn't cautious. What do you mean? She did this, she did that. It's like, okay, but doing that versus like knife play, it's kind of an order of difference. I think with Christine, Brendan definitely knew that she had this blood disease as well, because when Christine was pregnant and was planning to give birth, they had to take precautions about, how much blood she would be losing and stuff like that. So there's that. I completely forgot about that.
By the von Willebrand's disease, the bleeding disorder that we shared. Less than a year later, I faced another major surgery. I was terrified, not just of the procedure, but of the possibility of leaving my family behind after losing Christine.
Tough Mudder. That's what it is. Thank you. I feel like I had it on the tip of my tongue and then I screwed myself over because I overthought it. Does that ever happen to you guys? Thanks, Lauren. Hi, Lauren, by the way. How are you? Hello. Good to see you. Joseph Ryan, he was wearing a Backstreet Boys shirt. He was. I do remember seeing that. Oh, I wonder if they're like, hey, when they're pretending to be Christine, like, oh, I love Backstreet Boys. And then Joseph Ryan's like, oh, okay, I'll wear a Backstreet Boys shirt. Or maybe he also liked Backstreet Boys. Huh.
I had no sister to turn to as I tried to make sense of a new reality, a future that no longer resembled the one that I had imagined. That future had already been taken from us. What remained was an ambiguous grief layered on top of an already soul-crushing loss. I try not to dwell on the support she might have given me. The imagined conversations I have with her offer little comfort. The day Christine was murdered lives in my head on repeat, starting with the early morning text Joe received from my father, in all caps, call me now, to collapsing on the floor after grabbing the phone and hearing the words from my father that Christine was stabbed and had been killed is mixed with my own screams, the two forever intertwined. My parents were going over a bridge on their way to Virginia for an overnight stay with Christine when they received the devastating news.
Oh my gosh.
I was full of anxiety about them driving after receiving this horrific news.
Yeah.
The plan Brendan carried out with Juliana needed unknowing participation from my parents to be sure that they would be home, or that she would be home from work. They would still have several more hours to drive while informing family of Christine's murder, hearing shock and expressions of grief repeatedly.
And see, that's why I feel so bad for the family members of the victims, because not only, do you find out that your loved one was murdered, but you have to deal with this lie that was being told that, oh, Christine, well, she was trying to cheat, she was on this fetish account. She had this stranger come over to engage in these acts, right? They have to deal with that. And they're probably just so confused, like, Christine, like, seems like something Christine would do. But I mean, that's what Brendan says. And then you have to deal with Christine being violently murdered. And then when you find out that the truth comes out, it's like, well, you try to put yourself in Christine's situation. Like, what were the last thoughts that were going through her mind? So sad. And the fact that, what's his face? Brendan is just sitting there, like doesn't care. Brendan only cares about himself. Ugh. So eerie. Pato, how are you doing today? How's it going?
No parent should have to make that phone call, but they did it again and again. This is the burden of a parent that loses a child. Watching the immediate news coverage set off countless imagined scenarios.
Yeah.
Somehow I found myself reliving something I had never experienced as if I had been there. I envisioned Christine's fear, felt her terror, and wished I was there to take her place. I no longer had a sister. I was no longer a sister. I said this on the phone with an old friend that day, and she told me that even though she was gone, we would always be sisters, and we cried.
Yeah.
I flew to Virginia the next day. My parents picked me and my aunt, who had flown on from New York, up at the airport. They were quiet, moved slowly, and I could see the heaviness of the loss pushing them down as they tried to hold the weight of the pain my sister endured in the last moments of her life.
Yeah.
I knew I had to be strong. I had to hold back tears not to upset them further. One day, Joe and I will be entrusted with caring for my parents as they grow older, and we will meet that responsibility with love.
So I'm assuming Joe is the name of her husband. You guys may be a little bit confused because one of the victims in this case, so we have Christine and then we have Joe Ryan. When she's talking about Joe, she's talking about, I think, her husband, Joe. Hey, Shaniqua, how are you doing today? I know, I missed the lives too. Hello, hello. I just don't know what to stream. I don't know. I don't want to like force a stream if like, I don't know what's there to do, But yeah, hi, welcome. I could read the sidebars, but I don't know if this is interesting. So like, how to do videos.
But no matter how much we give, it will never feel whole. That role was meant to be shared with my sister, together as daughters, making decisions, supporting one another, and walking through this stage of life as a family. Unknowing participation would be the cornerstone of Brendan's plan. He used friends and family to continue his affair with Juliana and formulate his plan.
Huh? Friends? Family? I mean, we already kind of knew because he got his mom involved. He got his mama to pay for the lawyer bills and stuff like that. I don't know what else. Oh, so you're talking about David? Okay, I do want to dive into the David stuff. I haven't yet though, but I guess just waiting for more stuff to come out on there. But the David trial, because it's LA, there's they're not gonna live stream the trial. I don't know. I think LA kind of got PTSD from live streaming the what's his name? The glove didn't fit guy. Why can't I remember his name? Apparently after that they don't want to live stream any murder trials anymore. But I'm planning to, I just haven't done a deep dive into the David stuff yet. I've only heard what people have told me so far, and it is wild. 2 chainsaws? 2 chainsaws? Why you need 2 chainsaws? OJ. Yeah, that's OJ. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you.
He used his own daughter as a part of his plan to bring her into the house to kill her mother.
That's what she meant by family. Okay. Yep. The daughter was inside the house.
He lured an unknowing participant, Joseph Ryan, to his death. Based on the accounts from Joseph Ryan's loved ones, he had a kind soul, put others' needs before his own, and would have tried to protect my sister from harm, not cause any.
He had a little chihuahua too that I think he really loved. We are actually halfway through the sidebars. I think we're on actually I'm doing day 7 right now, and there's 14 days in the Corey Richards trial, so we're like halfway.
During the course of the trial, I learned that on October 29th, 2022, Brendan and Juliana went to a gun range. That same day, I, along with our mom and aunt, visited for Halloween. We spent the day at various Halloween events in the area with Christine and Valerie, while Brendan and Juliana perfected this part of their plan.
Oh my God.
When I learned this, I went numb. I felt as though I had in some way been used to facilitate what happened simply because I didn't recognize the signs.
Oh, but you wouldn't be able to. It's hard, like I think people always blame themselves. It's like, oh, I should have known this. I should have done that. But, I think most people just don't have the mind. Their minds aren't wired to think that people are killers or they're plotting, someone's death, right? Your mind's not wired that way. You're supposed to trust people that you love, people that are family, in-laws. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that someone close to victims would have this mentality like, oh, I should have known. I should have done this. I should have done that. Like, oh, like if I didn't, if I wasn't spending time with Christine and Christine, didn't give, Brendan free time to go with the au pair to the shooting range, maybe I could have avoided all this, right? It's like, I don't know. It's so sad when you start thinking that way. Because you really wish that you can do what's it called? The whole like butterfly effect where you travel back in time, change things, change the outcome, but you just can't. It really sucks when you do run into people that are evil in your lives and you're just like, fuck, how am I supposed to find people like this? How do I prevent from meeting people like this?
Since then, I have replayed countless moments, fixating on small details and convincing myself that I should have noticed something, that there must have been a clue that I missed. But looking back with information I did not have at the time distorts what I actually experienced, yet the emotional weight of the guilt still feels real.
Yeah.
The shame runs deep, and it has caused me to question my own judgment and perception, even though I understand that I was evaluating incomplete and concealed information.
Mm-hmm.
Guilt is meant to be tied to a choice, and I did not choose harm.
Good, yeah.
Despite this understanding, I continue to struggle with the feeling of being drawn into something I never knowingly participated in. I know rationally that these feelings are misplaced, but I do not yet know how long it will take to fully reconcile them with what was done to my family and the way that I was implicated in it. I didn't truly know Brendan at all. I don't believe anyone did. Not family, not friends, and certainly not Christine. His testimony was the most self-serving display of narcissism I have ever witnessed. He attempted to smear her through outright lies and victim blaming, accusing her of betraying the oath she took as a nurse.
That's right. He was like trying to convince everyone that Christine liked it rough. And apparently he was the only one who knew about this. He said that, yeah, Christine would have affairs and she would show up with bruises. Like, okay. Is it just your account of that? Like, do you have anyone to back that up? Who are these people that she had affairs with? I think it was revealed that he had an affair with, I think, his like best friend's girl or something like that. And he was like, well, I had an affair, but Christine did too, It was agreed upon thing. He did everything he could just to worm his way out of it, like, just look at him. Looks like a fucking worm. Oh, hunchback worm.
Accusation that not only intact her integrity, but further wronged the vulnerable patients in her care. As Christine's sister, I didn't just lose her. I had to sit and listen to a version of her that did not exist. I knew her in a way that he never could. I knew her honesty, her compassion, her refusal to live with secrets. Hearing him attempt to rewrite her life and her character felt like losing her all over again, piece by piece, in a room where she could not defend herself.
I will say this, though. I think in this case, it is very lucky for the victims and their family members that overwhelmingly, a lot of people did not trust Brendan Banfield. I'm sure there's like a small percentage of people out there who think that he's innocent or he didn't do it. But overwhelmingly, a lot of people did not like him and did not believe him. So I do feel bad when there's like other cases where it's like, oh, 50-50 or where, the victims are being attacked. So at least in this case, although initially the news were probably not favorable towards Joseph Ryan, Christine, but because, Juliana, whatever the fuck her name is, Juliana turned on Brendan, gave the version of events that happened. Luckily for them, at least, like most people believe the truth. Yeah. I always just feel bad for like when I watch like true crime cases where it's like, oh, people are like 50-50, they don't know. And then they go after the victims. I'm like, oh man, I feel so bad for people who have to deal with that, especially when they didn't ask to be involved.
His lies did not just attempt to destroy her reputation. They forced me to relive my grief with anger and helplessness I cannot fully describe. He was the one that had countless affairs, several attempts at finding the right mistress that would eventually help carry out the plan with him, because the absurd line of questioning about a plan didn't just develop when he started his affair with Juliana.
Yep.
I believe she meant no more to him than anyone else in his life. She was just another person to control and exploit. What he presented as affection was manipulation. What may have appeared as love was nothing more than strategy. If there had
Yep, he found someone young and dumb to move along with the plans.
been any genuine intent to build a life with Juliana, he could have chosen a lawful and honest path. He could have divorced and moved on.
Yeah.
But divorce would have required relinquishing control, and control was always the priority. His actions were not driven by love, but a desire for power, deception, and a complete disregard for the lives he destroyed. The callous way he spoke about Christine will one day be heard and seen by Valerie. She will eventually come to terms with the fact that her father, the person who was meant to protect her above all else, used her and put her directly in harm's way. Valerie may hold only a faint memory of a life untouched by loss, but for most of her years, she will know her mother through grief and the stories of others share with her.
And then that's why it sucks that children are involved into this too, because there are some children that want to believe their parents. So it's possible that, you know, if Valerie grows up and she wants to have a relationship with her father, she might try to give him another chance, and she might be willing to believe his truth, right? I don't know how manipulative Brendan's going to be down the road. That's also the thing that I was thinking about with like, even like with Corey Richards, right? Because I think like, you know, kids, they want to have a relationship with their parents and try to forgive them. But it really sucks that, you know, they could also be easily manipulated down the road.
We will do everything we can to fill those stories with light so she comes to know her mother through joy and through joy and love, not only through the weight of what was taken from her.
Rain says, to be honest, Juliana herself is no looker. They both look like thumbs, and maybe that's why they got attracted to each other. You ever play that game as a kid? I declare thumb war. It's like two thumbs going at it with each other. I think there were like two pictures of Juliana online that was like, oh, she's pretty. And then there were like pictures of Juliana. I was like, oh, okay. It was the angles.
Christine's last words and thoughts had to be about Valerie. If she had done enough in the short time that she had with her, worry about who would care for her, not apologizing to Brendan and making sure he knew how loved he was.
Oh my gosh.
Christine chose to dedicate her nursing career to caring for the most vulnerable.
That's right. Brendan, I think Brendan testified saying that in Christine's last moments, she was saying that she loved him. And it was like, no, I feel like in her last moments, she'd probably prioritize her child more. Like, hey, you know, let her know that I love her. I'm proud of her. Like, you wouldn't really be dedicating your last words to your husband. I feel like you'd be more focused on your child, but I think Brendan was just trying to craft a story and he didn't really think it through.
Babies and children during their most difficult moments. She provided comfort to frightened parents who wish they could take their children's place. She made those moments more bearable with her big smile and infectious laugh. I can still hear her laugh in my head. Christine dedicated herself to her daughter, who will grieve her loss at every milestone in her life. I will be there, never to replace my sister, but to tell Valerie who her mother was, remind her of her big laugh and even bigger heart. I will tell Valerie how much she was loved by her mother, and I will forever carry both the grief of losing her too soon and the gratitude of having loved her for 37 years and being loved by her in return. That bond will not end because we will always be sisters. I want to thank the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for their commitment to pursuing justice, to the members of the jury for their time, care, and responsibility they took in reaching their verdict, to the Fairfax County Police Department for their dedication to seeking the truth and for honoring my sister and Joseph Ryan's life through your work. To the Victim Services team for their compassion, care, and support they have shown my family, going above and beyond for us during an unimaginable time.
Oh, I think like there's like pictures of her and Christine maybe and the family members. I'm just looking at like what's on her paper right there.
And thank you, Your Honor, for your commitment to fairness throughout this trial, for your patience today, and for allowing me this opportunity to share a small glimpse of who Christine was, what she meant to me and my family, and how her loss has profoundly shaped and will continue to shape my life.
Thank you. Thank you. Please answer any questions that Mr. Carroll may have.
The fuck? You have to. Oh, I forgot about that. In some like districts, they can question the people doing the victim impact statements, right? Oh gosh. Really? They do that in Fairfax, Virginia. Also, if you hear my stomach growling, I'm starving. I don't know why. I shouldn't be hungry right now. I should have another 2 more hours.
Any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you. I'm like, please don't cross-examine her. Also, I think I see Joe Ryan's mom on the screen right there. So hopefully we get to hear from her.
Your next witness?
Judge, the next witness is going to be Deirdre Fisher, who is appearing virtually.
All right. Ma'am, can you hear us?
Oh, here's another detail that I forgot to mention. Apparently, it took them 13 minutes to call 911 after encountering Christine with all the stab wounds. Was it because they were trying to clean up the crime scene? Possibly.
Yes, I can.
All right. Can you raise your
Oh, yeah, I think this is Joe Ryan's mom. I recognize her.
right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
I know, right, Lauren? I don't know. I guess that's the thing.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher, could you please state your name for the record in the court?
My name is Deirdre Maureen Fisher.
And your relationship to Joseph Ryan?
I was Joseph Ryan's mother.
And do you have a statement that you would like to read describing the impact of Joe's loss in your life?
I would, yes, thank you.
Please go ahead.
First, I'd like to say,
Yeah, she does look young.
I wish I could be present in court today, but for medical reasons, I have been unable to attend the trial. But in my stead, my sister Grace Fisher Littner is here and has been for the whole trial. And my cousin, Jan Gillis. So I thank them both for being here, for Joe and for myself. And I'd like to thank the Honorable Judge Penny S. Ascaratis and this courtroom for allowing me to give a victim statement today for my beloved son, Joseph Nathan Ryan. I would like to speak about the impact of losing Joe, his brutal murder, the trial, that the murder and cruel, false claim that Joe himself was a murderer. Most importantly, I want to speak about the type of man Joe was. When I had Joe, I was just 16. I did not have financial, legal, or physical ability to raise my son. Despite being discounted as his mother, I fought for the right to see him and prevailed as a loving part of his life. Joe became old enough by the age of 14 to pursue a closer relationship with me. He told me at one point I was the reason he learned how to love unconditionally. I spent holidays and vacations with Joe. He called me often. Our closeness spanned the rest of his lifetime. I was the last person he called the night before he was brutally murdered. He sent me a photo of himself that night. It was the last time I got to hear the word mom. I got a call about his murder 2 days after it occurred. As in life, in death, Joe was taken from me over and over again. The lead detective explained he had not been told I was Joe's mother. He was compassionate, and I would go on to include me, as he did, and the defense team in updates about the murder investigation and legal process. When he gave me the horrible news, that my baby had been murdered, taken from me again, I let out a primal scream. I cried. From that night on, I have felt the deepest loss I could ever experience. My only child was gone, but the nightmares and pain were only just the beginning. Over these more than 3 years since Joe's murder, my life has been filled with continued loss and with emotional and medical and financial trauma. I have not been able to function normally. I have navigated a barrage of emergency room calls, doctor's appointments and hospital stays, and surgeries. I have spent a great deal of time not able to function or care for myself at home. A direct result of the murder and devastating trial that ensued. I developed a heart condition and ulcers. Just last month, well, it would be a few more now, I had my toe amputated after not being able to fully grasp the pain that I needed to seek prompt medical care. That also means the medical bills piled up again, and working became nearly impossible. Would I have experienced such severe trauma without the brutal loss of Joe? Certainly not. When Joe was alive, he would fly or drive to care for me. And when I needed, and it included cancer twice, he was there. That brings me to the next thing I want to talk about. Who Joe really was. Brandon Banfield, his defense team, even some of the press carelessly characterized Joe as the intruder. The fetish guy into rough sex. The rapist and the murderer. Or simply the other forgettable guy. Not even showing Joe's face during the murder trial. Joe was chosen because Brendan Banfield thought he would make a good dupe to be framed for the planned murder of his wife. As with so many other things, Brendan was wrong. In some ways, my son was flawed, regular Joe. But he also had some amazing qualities. Joe was extremely caring. He lived with his grandmother and was dedicated to her health and her well-being. He moved to Florida to care for his parental grandfather, Pap, before he died from advanced dementia. He went for 2 months to care for a woman he loved, who had radical hysterectomy, also taking care of her young daughter. That's part of who Joe was. Joe was a guy who believed in fighting for the underdog and even actual neglected dogs. He would walk into an animal shelter and ask for the oldest, ugliest dogs. Bring them home and love them for years. When Joe was murdered, he left behind a dog named Kitty, who waited.
Oh, is it the Chihuahua? The little Chihuahua guy? Brenda has no idea what she's talking about. He's too dumb and shallow to understand. I wouldn't surprise me if he was just like tuning her out. I don't know. He's just like sitting there. I thought he would at least try to pretend to eke some tears out or something. He just got this dumb look on his face.
For him.
Oh.
At the top of the stairs.
What do you call them? Troglodytes? Cavemen?
Joe also did things like gardening, feeding stray cats, teaching autistic kids to do jujitsu, and working at a homeless shelter. He believed that those with less should be fairly treated and supported, that Black and brown people should not be marginalized. Joe also was a feminist. He spoke out about the mistreatment of women during the start of the Me Too movement. Although he was chosen as a scapegoat from a website that is considered fetish, he was on that site to find a consenting partner because he believed in a woman's right to bodily autonomy and in her control over her romantic and sexual life. Joe wasn't just the disposable caricature he was made out to be. He had a face, he had a name, he had a life. But Brendan Banfield shot his face, soiled his name, and treated his life as disposable. My son was a kind human being who had a full life of meaning. In contrast, Brendan will remain known as an abusive father, the brutal murderer of his dedicated and compassionate, beautiful wife, and a narcissistic killer of an innocent man. My son's legacy is one of selfless love, while Brandon's is one of senseless evil. I have never directly spoken to Brendan, and I won't today. To me, he's nothing more than what I just said. But Joe, yes, Joe, was someone to me. He was my baby boy, my biggest supporter, and the man I think was pretty special and never forgettable. Thank you so much for letting me say this out loud and share some of my love for Joe and the loss I felt I will always feel. He was part of me, and I will never get that back. But I will choose to live in his fighting spirit and with his voice in my head. Be kind to yourself, Mom. Take better care of yourself, Mom. Love you, Mom. I won't forget you, Joe. I hear you now. Thank you.
Thank you. Please answer any questions of Mr. Carroll.
Need cross-examination? All right. No cross-examination.
Joe.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Your next witness?
Thank you.
Judge, the next witness that I have is Sangeeta Ryan.
All right.
You think Brendan's gonna have any support? Family members, friends, co-workers? They're gonna speak for him? Corey had quite a few people.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Sangeeta Ryan, and I am the aunt of the young man I met as a preschooler with a giant backpack and a tiny pink purse who was called Joey Nathan Ryan.
And do you have some testimony to share about what the loss of Joe has meant to your family?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Hello, Honorable Judge Ascarati, members of the Fairfax County team, members of the gallery, our family, Christine's family, friends, and members of the press.
Yeah, I think she was the aunt that Deidre was talking about earlier, the aunt that showed up in trial every day.
We are Joe's family. We're the people he loved, and we loved him. With the exception of speaking once at Ms. Perez Magalier's sentencing, we have remained silent since this tragedy devastated our family 3 years ago. Judge, we thank you for listening to our words back in February. We chose silence out of respect.
Wow, that was back in February. Oh my gosh. That's so crazy. So much time has passed since then.
For law enforcement, for the Commonwealth, and for Christine's family, whose loss is beyond imagination. Christine was taken by the very person she trusted to build a life with and raise a child with. Mm-hmm. We also remained silent because Joe and Christine were not only taken from us on February 24th, 2023, but were repeatedly disrespected by the defendants calculated lies. Let me be absolutely clear. This was not a moment of weakness, confusion, or loss of control. This was a deliberate, planned act carried out by someone who believed he could outsmart the system and escape accountability. And even after taking 2 lives, the defendant continued lying to investigators, lying to the court here, lying to his child and her family, and attempting to manipulate anyone who would listen. What we witnessed was not remorse. It was arrogance. It was a sustained effort to rewrite reality in order to protect himself.
Yep.
That matters because it shows exactly who he is. He didn't just take Joe and Christine from us. He tried to erase the truth of who they were. And in doing so, inflicted further harm on the people who loved them. This crime did not just take Joe's life. It took his place in the world. It took a son, a grandson, a brother, a cousin, a friend, a caregiver. He took my nephew, Joe, on purpose and left devastation. Every day we see the impact of that loss. Joe's grandmother, Connie, who raised him from the time he was just days old, now lives with a grief that has only deepened in time. She was there for every milestone of his life, his childhood, his school years, his prom, his first car, his growth into adulthood. And in return, as Deirdre said, Joe was there for her. He built his life around caring for his grandparents and making sure they were never alone. Since his passing, her health has declined. She's not here today. The absence of Joe is not abstract. It is constant, visible, and devastating. Joe was a kind and loving person. He was funny. He believed in the goodness of others. He was a friend, a caretaker, and someone who brought light into the lives of those around him. He is deeply loved. He's remembered. He mattered, and he still does. The only solace we hold on to is this: love endures. It lives in the stories we tell, in the way we carry Joe with us, and in how we choose to live our lives moving forward. Today we speak, and today we find our voices, and today our silence ends. We will spend our days and our lives saying Joe's name. We will carry forward his kindness, his goofiness, his love, and his spirit. His absence will always be felt. His chair will remain empty at our gatherings, but his presence will never truly leave us. We do not forgive. This wasn't an accident. This was a calculated decision followed by a deliberate and ongoing attempt to evade responsibility and distort the truth. Today, we take back Joe and Christine's memory from the lies, from the manipulation, and from the man who thought he could control their story even after taking their lives. He no longer controls anything. We leave here with our heads high, not in silence, but with purpose. We will honor Joe and Christine by living with the same kindness and love that they gave so freely. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be Joe's voice and Christine's voice. And thank you for the service, your service to the community, Judge Asgarati, as you approach your retirement. May we all find a way to love more deeply and bring more kindness into the world. Thank you from the Ryan family.
Thank you. Please
Very
answer any
like your
questions, Mr. Carroll.
No cross-examination here.
All right, ma'am, you can have a seat.
She seems like a really chipper person.
All right. Your next witness?
That was my last witness, Judge.
All right, Commonwealth's evidence. Does the defense have any evidence?
No, Your Honor.
All right, argument?
Yes, ma'am. Judge, I want to be clear what we're asking for today before I begin the meat of my argument.
Oh, we don't get the other attorney? There's this other attorney that, oh my God, did such a good job during trial. I forgot what her name was, though. Sorry.
We're asking for a life sentence to serve in FE 2024-666, count 1. As we know, the imposition of 2 life sentences is not available given the 2 parts of the statute that we are working with. So I want to be clear that that is what we're asking the court to go forward on and why. And I'm also asking the court to obviously impose the 3 years that is required by count 5 in that same case number. And in FE 2024-873, count 1, I'm asking you to sentence him to 5 years and not suspend any of that. Judge, Brendan Banfield planned and carried out the executions of 2 innocent victims, his wife Christine and Joe Ryan, a stranger to him. He planned their murders over several months, enlisting the help of his co-defendant and affair partner, Juliana Perez Magalhães. He planned ruthless and brutal killings, shooting Joe in the head, stabbing Christine in the neck over and over again, and instructing Juliana to shoot Joe a second time.
That's what it was. Okay, because I was trying to remember who was the one that shot Joe and then ultimately gave him the killing shot. Juliana. And I wonder if Brendan got Juliana to do it because he was thinking, well, okay, well, let's give her skin in the game. That way she's culpable if something were to happen. So it gives her maybe more of an incentive to not tell on him. Cave in, or the authorities.
He manipulated the crime scene and lied about the circumstances of their deaths, painting Joe as a violent intruder when he had hand-selected Joe as his second victim, posing as Christine online looking for someone with whom to act out a rape fantasy outside of her marriage. And neither version is at all close to the truth. They are lies. Christine was a daughter, a sister, a mother, a nurse, and a friend. Her parents, her sister, her coworkers, and friends told you about Christine and how much she matters to them in their lives. Joe was a son, a brother, a grandson, an uncle, a cousin, and a devoted animal lover. His mom, Deirdre, and his Ryan family members told you how much he matters to them in their lives. These families won't be able to celebrate obvious, joyous milestones like graduations, weddings, holiday celebrations with Christine and Joe. It's important for us to remember the intangible moments that these families have lost as well. Christine was murdered before her daughter started kindergarten. Christine is never going to take a first day of school picture with her daughter. She's never going to attend field day or chaperone a field trip. Christine will never know what activities her daughter loves. Will she play soccer? Be on a summer swim team? Will she play an instrument? Be a theater kid? Will she be an artist? Christine won't be here to know any of that. Christine won't be here to offer her daughter opportunities to help her find what she loves. And Valerie won't have her mother's guidance and love as she navigates the question of who she is. Joe is loved and cherished by his family, and they endured a false narrative portraying Joe to be a violent criminal. He was a loving caretaker in his family. He cared for his grandpa, his grandma, and his mom, uprooting himself selflessly to be closer to them as they needed him. He loved and cared for neglected and abused animals. He was single when he was murdered. He won't get married. He won't become a father. He won't create his own family, and he won't create any new memories with the family he has here today. Banfield and his co-defendant are the causes of the immeasurable loss suffered by Christine and Joe's families. There is nothing that can lessen their devastation. Nothing we can do or say will bring Joe and Christine back to their families. This sentencing ends the in-court process, but it is not an end to anyone's grief. For all of these reasons, I am asking you to impose every minute of active incarceration that the law requires and that the law allows. The sun should never shine on Mr. Banfield's skin as a free man again.
Thank you, Ms. Person. Argument.
Ooh, also, I did go back and check. So the timeline here. So 8 months after the murders, the au pair was arrested. She was incarcerated for about a year. She was looking at second-degree murder. So Brendan gets arrested because they have some sort of evidence that shows that Brendan lied and that he was having an affair. And so he was arrested. And then I think like a little bit after that was when Juliana decides to cooperate with law enforcement. Because I think at that point she realized like, oh shit, like everything's over. I better cooperate before he does. Because I feel like I remember that.
Argument, Mr. Carroll.
Your Honor, there's recognition on the part of the defense that the jury verdict leaves very little room for discretion, but there are some areas that I would like to argue with relating to the Commonwealth's argument as well as the narrative that's been presented. The
Like
Commonwealth
what?
pursued a theory of catfishing for years, Judge, while having the answers within their grasp with the digital forensics examiner. Behind the scenes, police officers were trying to change the expert opinion, and Detective Miller, to his credit, resisted. In fact, this executive summary that he testified to.
Oh, I remember this now. Okay, so the defense team, they were trying to say that law enforcement had a theory. The supervisors were trying to push it onto the detectives. But when the detectives were testifying, they were like, nope. Listen, they might be telling us this, but we follow, you know, we're going to do our own investigation. We're not just going to follow this narrative and try to find evidence that supports it. I think they had some really good detectives that testified about that. And then defense team they're trying to bring up how most of the people that were on the detectives enforcement are like no longer there. There was a disagreement of some sort about the catfishing thing. And there was one guy who I think it was like the digital forensics guy. He was moved into a different department because they were like, hey, like, oh, gosh, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but I think he was doing like, he had like some like rogue opinions or something like that. Like he was not, oh, hold on. Yeah, like he was not, there was evidence about device usage. And he said that Christine was the one who used those devices. So she was the one that was texting Joe. She was the one that was using the device when there was communication on FetLife. And so there was other people that testified was like, yeah, we had to like let him go and move him into a different department because he was saying shit that just like was not true. You can't definitively say someone was using the device. Like you weren't there. There's no cameras to prove that. You can't say Christine used the device. You have to say the device that was belonged to Christine, this device did this device did that, but you can't say for sure that was Christine who did it. Yeah, there was like something like that. Woo. I think it was like the OG lead detective that left the case. It was a forensic guy, and then some of the supervisors didn't buy the catfishing theory initially, and then the other detectives were like, "Huh, like we were right. We were right all along."
To remain the same, except for one new fact: the changed testimony of the co-defendant. Commonwealth made a significant effort to diminish the role that digital forensics plays in these and the other investigations. They never called their witness for the Commonwealth's case. And the strategy paid off because the jury saw this as credibility determination between the co-defendant and my client. That was a much easier question for them to answer instead of the difficulties of parsing through the digital evidence and other scientific evidence. By making it about credibility, there was no need to resolve such questions such as, if the co-defendant did not know how to log into the suspect accounts, who accessed Christine Banfield's laptop on at least 10?
Oh, they're trying to say that Juliana didn't know how to like get into Google or Gmail or something. I'm like, what now? You're telling me she's 23 years old? Like, she doesn't know how to work a Gmail? It was something like that. Oh man, there were so many like silly accusations made by the defense.
10 occasions when Brendan Banfield was nowhere near the home or the device in question.
But Juliana was. And then you're trying to say that she didn't know how to work Gmail or access it or something like that? Like, okay.
Second question, how did Christine Banfield not discover the two-factor authentication on her personal cell phone that the co-defendant testified that she secured surreptitiously from Christine Banfield and then put it back?
Yeah, so that was one thing. And I think, honestly, it probably just, like, slipped. I think that was, like, probably their most strongest argument. There was a two-factor authentication when creating, I think was it for the FetLife account or when they created the fake Gmail account? Or was it for Signal? It was for something. And so the authentication went to Christine's phone, and it was not ever deleted. It stayed on Christine's phone. So I don't know if the reason why it stayed on Christine's phone was because Brendan couldn't get to Christine's phone in time and deleted it, or if he forgot, or if Christine saw it and assumed that maybe it was some sort of scammer creating a fake account under her phone number and she just kind of just dismissed it, or if Brendan got there in time and was like, oh, hey, like, oh yeah, that looks like some scam shit. Like, don't believe it. So I think there's like many explanations that could explain that, but it's usually not just one big thing that blows everything out of the water. It's usually like a accumulation of evidence, right? Like Brendan Banfield might have had like one or two things that were favorable for him, but there's so many things that were against him and showed that he and Juliana were the ones that were trying to catfish Joe Ryan and set up Christine.
And finally, with regard to digital forensics, how was this plan, according to the co-defendant, executed on February 23rd, the night before the murder, with Christine's laptop, while within minutes Christine was accessing her work and also shopping? Those questions remain, Judge, and those...
Do they remain? I'm trying to remember that specifically. Because the defense was trying to show that, oh, Christine was on these like shopping websites, Lululemon, but then at the same time, she was speaking or messaging Joe Ryan. But I feel like that the state did a really good job at showing that, it could have been when Christine was in the bathroom or when she briefly left her laptop, or it was access from a different device. Like, for example, I think like if you have two devices, right, like an iPad and you have a phone, for example, and if you're sharing the same, I guess, like Google Gmail, then it's possible that those two devices share the same history because you're using the same Google account. I'm trying to remember if that was what it was. But I think from my takeaway from the prosecution was that there were different devices that were used, and Christine had access to the laptop at some point while the others had access to her phone at another point. And yeah, I don't know. I felt like after listening to the testimony, it didn't make me feel like, oh, I wasn't sure who was using what device. It really seemed like, this device was used by Christine when she was on shopping for Lululemon or when she was looking for like bathing suits or vacation stuff, and then the other device was the one that accessed, the Signal, the email with Joe Ryan, the communications.
Were incumbent upon the jury to resolve.
Right? I know if I got a two-factor authentication, it's like, the fuck is this? My mind wouldn't immediately go to, oh my gosh, my husband is making a FetLife account to try to set me up, and try to catfish on my behalf. I don't know if I got a text message from that and I, was in a relationship, marriage, where I thought I trusted the other person, I feel like I would just be like, that's kind of weird. Just brush it off. I don't know. I feel like if you had some sort of inkling that your significant other was doing something shady, you know, maybe you thought they were trying to kill you. Maybe you would investigate into it. But I think for the most part, people just be like, oh, this is weird. Move on.
With regard to the blood stain pattern analysis, by making the credibility of the co-defendant versus Brendan the issue, there was no need to resolve questions such as, why did Joe Ryan have...
I mean, look at Judge Penny. Judge Penny is like, excuse me, didn't you try to throw out the verdict the day before? And I already denied that in 20 minutes. I wonder if he's making the same arguments as he did yesterday.
The issue, there was no need to resolve questions such as, why did Joe Ryan have an injury to his hand that would have held the knife? This was corroborated by the medical examiner. Why?
Fuck, if I wish I could remember the injury to the hand, injury to the hand. I could have sworn that we had an explanation for this. I don't remember. I'm sorry. This trial happened like 4 or 5 months ago.
Why was Joe Ryan's DNA found under Christine Banfield's fingernails? Why was Brendan Banfield's DNA not present in any of the certificates of analysis of relevance, and why were there no fingerprints of Brendan Banfield? With clear evidence that Joe Ryan supplied the knife.
Wait, let's go back. So why Joe Ryan's DNA was under Christine Banfield's fingernails is because initially there was that stage attack. Doesn't that track?
Not present in any of the... Why was Brendan Banfield's DNA not present in any of the certificates of analysis of relevance, and why were there no fingerprints of Brendan Banfield?
I don't know if I remember that.
With clear evidence that Joe Ryan supplied the knife, why was it not considered that Joe's DNA was at the juncture of the blade of the knife and the handle, and that Brendan Banfield's was not present on that item?
Was the theory like Brendan could have just wiped it off and then just put the weapon in Joe's hand? Wouldn't that be something? If it's all part of a setup?
Why was it not considered that Joe Ryan hit Brendan on his back after being shot, and the blood analysis shows it was Christine Banfield's blood, indicative of Christine bleeding at the hands of Joe Ryan?
I'm confused where he's going. I don't think this guy had any injuries. So Joe hit Brendan. Joe, I don't understand how that. Fuck, I don't remember this.
Indicative of Christine bleeding at the hands of Joe Ryan. And ultimately, Judge, why did we not hear from the Fairfax PD regarding who Joe Ryan was, or other officers in terms of the Commonwealth's case? The co-defendant, even in her testimony and numerous times before that, indicated that she never saw Brendan touch Joe Ryan's body. Your Honor, the jury has spoken, and we must live with the finding, and my client is prepared to be sentenced while these and many other questions remain. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kerr.
I just remember one of the major things was the blood splatter on Joe Ryan. It looked like it corroborated with Juliana's story that Joe scooped up Christine's blood and dripped it on top of Joe Ryan to make it seem like something went on between the two of them, that he was stabbing Christine in the neck. Like, she literally described it, I think, like puddling blood with his hands and dripping it on Joe Ryan. And the blood analysis showed that there was like driplets on him. And it was like really weird. Not only that, there was blood DNA found in the inside of Joe Ryan's pants, I think, like in the button. Because I think it didn't cooperate with Brendan's story. Brendan was trying to say that Joe was attacking Christine and the pants, I don't know what they said about the pants. I don't remember specifically, but I do remember the state mentioning that Christine's blood shouldn't have been on the inside of Joe's pants because at that point, something was happening with the pants. I don't remember.
Mr. Banfield, if you could stand, sir.
Oh yeah, not only that, the blood on Joe's hand also seemed like there was like, yeah, it like dripped and there was like, it like kind of like went like this. right? Like someone dripped blood on him, and then because of gravity, then the blood kind of drips down like this. Yeah, so I don't remember all the nuances in this. All right, I think, oh, Mr. Banfield. Yeah, Mr. Banfield's going to speak. Oh, Mr. Banfield's going to give us his sob story. Wow, wow, wow. Poor me, poor me.
Sir, is there anything you wish
Looking like a swamp Teletubby over there in his greens.
to say at this time before sentence is imposed?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm greatly disappointed in the legal system. The system has failed not only me, but also Christine, my daughter Valerie, the Bensons, and the rest of my family.
Please don't even mention Christine and your daughter Valerie into this. Why? Because you should be free right now?
I was found guilty of a crime that I did not commit, but it's actually impossible to have committed the crime, as the prosecution, their experts, and their witnesses have presented.
So you're just saying that Juliana was just smart enough to ensure that a lot of the evidence aligns with her story, her version of events? Because, you know, if Juliana was lying, there would be a lot of like weird inconsistencies. Juliana's not the smartest person.
The prosecution and their witnesses' statements do not match the evidence. My rights to defend my family has been taken away, to defend my home and myself. This is a protected right that I'm sure everyone listening here knows they have.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. I completely forgot that there were love letters written between him and Juliana. Oh my God. We read them together. So he did the whole Chad Daybell thing where he was writing these like romance novellas. Okay. These like little like, romance stuff between like him and Juliana and like how they were, you know, engaging in the affair and riding bikes and like him looking at her like thong and like, oh my God. I completely forgot about that. Oh, I'm so sorry to remind you guys about all of that. If you guys haven't seen that video, it's somewhere on my channel. We might have a Brendan Banfield playlist. Now, his story was that Juliana, oh my gosh, she's the hero in all of this because she was the one that saved him, you know, while Joe Ryan was attacking Christine. So that's basically the story they're trying to paint, that Juliana was the hero. He was also the hero, that he was the one that came in to defend Christine, and unfortunately she died. Dude, the nerve of this person. That's why he's talking about defending his home and his family. No, you brought your daughter in while you're murdering her mom.
This is a protected right that I'm sure everyone listening here knows they have. My right has been discarded. I'm being sentenced on an impossible set of circumstances. The prosecution's catfish theory was forced on detectives. Detectives did not agree with the catfish theory and were harassed, belittled, and then transferred out of their department unwillingly. 3 different digital forensic experts agreed there was no catfish. This includes Fairfax Detective Miller, their expert. This is a quote from his report. The event spanned over a 46-day period from 1/9/23 to 2/24/23. There's no indication that Christine lost control of her devices during that time. Christine is also active with these related specificialities to her during around the relevant times. Christine also has a pattern of being active on her devices during the relevant times over the year leading up to the period. This will include consistent email and browser activity between the hours of 2300.
Swamp Teletubby still wants to attack his wife. He's still at it, even in sentencing. Quite honestly, it goes back to how this whole thing just doesn't make sense. Why would Joe Ryan want to kill Christine? The man has no history of abuse, no history of violence. So he decides to just straight up just like murder Christine during this encounter. When he wasn't the one that suggested bringing a knife, when he wasn't the one that suggested bringing, what were the other stuff they brought? Like the wrist ties and all that stuff. You're telling me this guy just decided to murder Christine? And you just happened to be there?
100 hours. Although,
Good Judge Penny. Judge Penny looks like she's seething.
although the not detailed, sorry.
He can't read. I'm sorry. He only knows how to write love stories. He can't do the reading. Specificialities? Yeah, I don't fucking know, man. Let's dial it back a little bit.
Christine is also active with these related specificialities to her during and around the relevant times. Christine also has a pattern of being active on her devices during the relevant times over the year leading up to the period. This will include consistent email and browser activity between the hours of 2300 and 100 hours. Although the not detailed, sorry.
The fuck is happening? Did he ask someone to use ChatGPT to write this, and he was like, "Oh fuck, what the hell is this? I didn't know this was going to be in here." Hello? Look at, oh my god, I love Judge Petty so much. Look at her. Look at Judge Petty. We love you, Judge. We're gonna miss you, but enjoy your retirement.
Detective Miller's report was sent for independent review to the University of Alabama for peer review. This is a best practice declared for digital forensics. Holly Kennedy of the University of Alabama agreed with Detective Miller's process and finding that there was no loss of device, no loss of dominion and control during this time.
Did his expert mention this in their testimony? They had a digital expert, right? And I felt like, did they have a digital expert? I just felt like when the defense put on the witnesses, they had that lady to explain the blood splatter. I think they had a digital forensics person, but I just remember they didn't have any witnesses that stood out as someone that was like really good.
When
Yeah, reading is hard if you're shitting your pants. He's probably shitting his pants right now.
Questioned about the loss of device, no loss of dominion and control during this time. When Juliana was questioned about the details of the case, she was unable to verify or remember the information. Juliana did not know the password to Christine's phone, the laptop, the email account, the Telegram, or the FetLife account.
But I'm sure you did. Do you guys know your significant other's device passwords? Like phone lock screen or anything like that?
She did not even know the name of the email account. How could
y'all created it? Of course she did. She knows the password of the FetLife. Y'all created it. I wonder what the password was.
she have accessed it without any of that information?
Okay.
Juliana claimed that she wrote messages but could not identify a single message that she wrote. Juliana said that the Gmail was...
Yeah, it's because Juliana probably didn't want to. She probably didn't want to admit to it. Listen, I think Juliana did like the bare bones minimum, okay? Where it's like, fine, I'll admit to this, this, and this, and this, but everything else, I don't remember. I don't know.
created on the laptop when it was created on the phone, then said that I deleted the two-factor authentication, which was never deleted, never hidden, was still there. The Telegram application was also not hidden, always available on Christine's laptop.
Was it? Was it though?
It was never uninstalled and reinstalled and was always available.
They probably just deleted the... How often do you guys dig through programs that's on your computer? For me, it's like when I go into the what's it called again? Control panel? What's it called? Control panel? Control panel. You go to control panel and then you could like uninstall a program, but I only go through there if I'm like uninstalling something. I don't religiously go through like, oh, what are the programs that's on my computer? And then also you can hide it so any programs during startup, you can make it so it doesn't pop up, right? You can hide the icons, the thumbnails and all that stuff. Brendan thought he was making a solid argument, dude.
When Juliana was questioned about the email account, this is her quote. "I was not the one logging in. It was Brendan who accessed the email. The question was then restated and resent and said again, and this is her second quote. I was not the one logging in."
Okay.
Email account was accessed approximately 10 times while I was not home. This includes
True. Juliana doesn't know how to use Gmail. Brennan can't read. Perfect dumb couple.
email account was accessed approximately 10 times while I was not home. This includes when I was in Maryland at FLETC, a secure government facility that required an appointment and ID verification to enter. If Juliana did not enter.
Yo, this guy was working the IRS investigation unit. We're cooked.
These email accounts, but they were still logged in. There's only one other person that could access these accounts, and that is Christine. There are also 2 instances where neither Juliana or I were home with the logins. This includes the morning of 2/24, when I had left for work and was seen on video at McDonald's, and Juliana had left the house. Her movements were tracked and verified by GPS. Her phone logged that she was parked in the cul-de-sac, and her Apple Watch had logged her steps leaving the home. And by her own testimony, she also stated that she had left the home. Yet after that, the laptop was then logged in and accessed again. There is no dispute that Joe Ryan brought the knife to my home.
There could be a delay when your location is updated.
DNA and fingerprints are not on the knife. Joe Ryan's DNA is on the knife, right at the junction of the handle and the blade. The DNA is right where you would expect it to be for someone who is forcefully using the knife. This is further verified by the injury that is on Joe's thumb in his hand. The medical examiner verified the injury on Joe's thumb could be caused by the knife. There are no injuries to my hands, nothing to indicate I ever held the knife. Joe's DNA is also under Joe Ryan's fingernails. Joe's DNA is also under Christine's fingernails, indicating that she tried to fight him off. Joe Ryan's
initially
hands have a mixture of Joe's and Christine's DNA. When he got back up and struck me in the back, it was transferred to the back of my jacket. Juliana's original statement on 2/24 stated that I never touched Joe. She repeated this in both of her proffers and at trial. The prosecution has repeatedly said that I manipulated the scene and moved Joe Ryan. I never left Christine's side. I only tried to render aid to her. Juliana said that I poured blood on Joe. This does not match the findings of the medical examiner or the blood spatter expert, who described that these were transfers and were not as droplets. Christine obtained tickets to the zoo and sent them to Juliana. There was no prompting for this. Christine wrote the zoo on the calendar and in Juliana's schedule. Only Christine could have planned the meeting on 2/24. The meeting of Christine and Joe was confirmed over a week prior.
What?
Christine obtained tickets to the zoo and sent them to Juliana. There was no prompting for this. Christine wrote the zoo on the calendar and in
What's the proof of that? What's the proof of any of that? Even if Christine did say, even if she got the ticket to the zoo, even if she wrote zoo in the calendar, that doesn't mean anything. They could have planned it and been like, hey, Christine, we're going to go to the zoo. Can you get the tickets? Okay. The fuck?
Juliana's schedule. Only Christine could have planned the meeting on 2/24.
No.
The meeting of Christine and Joe was confirmed over a week prior, but only Christine could have chosen 2/24 because she was scheduled to work. No one else would know that this day would be available.
So you wouldn't know? The au pair wouldn't know? Also, why would Christine hide her cell phone all the way downstairs in the kitchen if a stranger's coming to her house? Like, come on now. Like, that doesn't make sense.
On 2/24, she had only requested off from work on February 23rd and had not informed anybody else that she was off until then.
Jesus.
The Fairfax County Police Department never truly looked into Joe Ryan. No search warrant was ever conducted at Joe's residence. Only 2 women were interviewed about their relationship with Joe, and both found that they were very uncomfortable with him. Both.
Wow. Okay. So we're okay. I wasn't sure if he was going to go after Joe. All right, so he's going to continue to trash Joe. Damn, how long does he go on for?
Joe, and both found that they were very uncomfortable with him. Both chose not to see him again. One was so uncomfortable that she went to her therapist the next day. These are her quotes. She felt so...
Did she testify for you at trial? Was she there?
She felt so out of place and that it was dirty and that he was uncomfortable towards her. I believe only one of Joe's friends was also interviewed. He stated that in a confrontation, Joe would choke or strangle somebody. This matches Joe's social media profile, saying that he studied neck snapping at Harvard. And to add to that, where was Christine stabbed? In the neck, okay, which Joe seems to have a fondness for. These things are some of quotes from other people, not from me. Joe had previously also cut another woman. It's in his own messages, in his own words, that he was attracted to that.
Did we see those messages? Did your attorney show those messages? I wonder if they're just mischaracterized or what was the context of it?
Separately, there's entire internal affairs videos about this case. So either Detective Bryant or Lieutenant Giacchio is lying based on what they said at trial, because Lieutenant Giacchio denied saying that Juliana was arrested as an innocent. Meanwhile, Detective Bryant said that was brought up to him by Giacchio in his internal affairs video. Both of them are under oath. So one of them would be committing a Giglio violation. Also, Detective Nielsen stated that Juliana was arrested to get her to flip, and there was no other reason provided. Christine was a wonderful and loving person. Just as you heard from many of the people here, she was a loving and compassionate nurse. During COVID, she volunteered to take care of.
Okay, now you're trying to... No, you already trashed your scene. You already spent time trashing Joe. During the trial, Juliana testified saying that he called Christine lazy and a bad mother. Why? Because she was too busy working her job. She was tired.
To take care of many of the people that were sick and struggling. She signed up for extra shifts. She signed up for vaccination clinics. She cared for her daughter. She enrolled her in dance lessons. She was there for recitals. I loved her very much, despite what you may think of my affairs. Our marriage worked for us. It wasn't something that I looked to end.
I know, right? He should have pivoted his statement after listening to the victim impact statement. This is going to get you no sympathy.
It was told to other women that I was never going to leave Christine. That was always how it was said. Christine cared very much for her family and friends. I'm not trying to diminish in any way what her life was. She truly was a caring mother, a caring wife, a loving nurse. But I am not responsible for her death. This is not a knife that I ever held in my hand, and I never stabbed her. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Banfield, a jury of your peers, after hearing all the evidence, has found you guilty of count 1 of the indictment 2024-666, aggravated murder of 2 people in the same act or transaction. They found you guilty of count 4 of 2024-666, aggravated murder of 2 people within a 3-year period, count 5 of 2024-666, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and count 1 of 2024-873, child endangerment. In accordance with Virginia law, although you have been found guilty of 2 counts of aggravated murder, the court can only sentence you on 1 count of aggravated murder, which will be count 1 of 2024-666. The statute requires a sentence of life imprisonment on this count, which is now the highest penalty one can receive in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This exact statute was our capital murder statute until Virginia abolished capital punishment in 2021. You should understand you were found guilty of crimes that 5 short years ago would have carried a sentence of death. That reflects the severity of your crimes and your actions. Life in prison is a punishment reserved for a very small number of individuals. Those whom the community has determined should never walk free again. It is a harsh sentence, but in this case, it is a justified one.
Yeah, and I think aggravated murder probably because like premeditated, and then 2 people were murdered in this case.
In the 18 years I've been on the bench, I have seen hundreds of defendants appear before me, and I have had the arduous task of sentencing these individuals. In the vast majority of these cases, people made mistakes, were struggling with substance use disorders, or acting in anger, choosing violence in a moment that changed everything.
But not you, motherfucker.
They were not inherently bad people, but they made terrible decisions and suffered the consequences. Sentencing in those cases is difficult. It weighs on me, often long after the hearing is over.
Yeah.
Only 2 times prior to today have I encountered something different in my courtroom. 2 individuals that carried no remorse, calculated, and planned their violent crimes and left many victims and devastation in their path. As I listen to the evidence in this case and listen to your testimony, it is apparent that I am once again looking at that same kind of evil. The disregard of the life of your wife, someone you supposedly loved, is almost unfathomable. Scheming for months a master plan involving so many moving parts, including deception and manipulation, luring a completely innocent man into your deadly trap, continuing on after the murders without a care, and not once thinking of the impact on Christine's daughter, the unspoken tragic victim of your behavior. You did not just take her mother from her, you placed her in the middle of the horror you created. She is young now, but one day she will understand your true self, and she will understand what you took from her, which is everything. The loss of her mother, who will never be a part of her life as she grows, the loss of her family and the security she lived under. All of this is lost based on your calculated and selfish behavior. It is impossible to comprehend what Joseph Ryan experienced, seeing you enter the room, being shot in the head, blinded, hearing you instruct the co-defendant to shoot him again. And Christine, to imagine her final thoughts as she initially thought you were there to save her from what she thought was a brutal attack, and then to see you over her stabbing her again and again with a knife in her neck, her final realization that this was all you're doing, and in her final moments thinking of her daughter. The sentence I impose today reflects not only the law, but the judgment of the community. The jury did not find you credible on the stand. To testify as you did shows the court that you still think that you are the smartest person in the room. One would hope that someday you will become tortured by what you have done to Christine, Joe, Christine's daughter, and their families. But nothing I have seen suggests that you will. The level of cruelty, calculation, and inhumanity in this case reflects something far deeper than anger or impulse. It reflects evil, which is why I carry no burden and find no hesitation in sentencing you to life.
Yes.
On count 1 of 2024-666, aggravated murder, I sentence you to life in the penitentiary for the rest of your natural life without the possibility of parole, without good conduct allowances or any earned sentence credits or conditional release. On count 5 of 2024-666, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, I sentence you to 3 years in the penitentiary, which is a mandatory term and cannot be suspended. Since it is required by statute, an additional 6 months is ordered and suspended for post-release probation, which is a nullity in this case, but is required to be part of the sentence. On count 1 of 2024-873, child endangerment, I sentence you to 5 years in the penitentiary. Since it is required by statute, an additional 6 months is ordered and suspended for post-release probation, which is again a nullity in this case, but is required to be part of the sentence. Each of these sentences are consecutive, that is one after the other. And since you've been convicted of a felony in Virginia, a sample of your DNA will be taken and submitted to the Virginia State Police database. That is the sentence of the court. Are there any questions, Mr. Carroll? Any questions?
No, Your Honor, but the Commonwealth does have one additional request, if I may.
Yes.
No tears, no emotion, nothing whatsoever. I mean, he knew he was looking at life in prison. He knew it. That was the minimum that she was able to give him.
Ma'am?
The Commonwealth is asking that a condition of the sentence be that the defendant have no contact with his daughter, Valerie. This is at the request of her guardian ad litem, her therapist, and her counsel.
I understand, but I'm not doing any probation, so how can I do a no contact order?
Judge, I think with the 6 months of post-release.
Oh, there she is. That's the attorney that I really liked, that I really remember.
Same action, even though there is no likelihood of those 6 months ever being imposed, they are suspended on the condition as required by statute. This condition would operate similarly.
But that would only work for those sentences, correct?
That is correct.
I mean, I can't order him no contact if I'm giving him life in prison.
Understood, Judge. I'm making the request.
All right. I just have to deny that request. Thank you. All right. Mr. Banfield, you have the right to appeal a decision of this court. You must note your appeal within 30 days of the final order of this case. It is my understanding that Mr. Carroll will not represent you on appeal. Is that correct, Mr. Carroll? All right. So, sir, Mr. Banfield, do you wish
Mr. Carroll, you're free. You're free.
To hire your own attorney or have the court appoint you an attorney?
Court appointed.
Hasn't been decided.
Appoint. Well, what?
Sir, you got money to hire an attorney for appeals?
I'll go ahead and appoint an attorney for you now. If later on you decide to hire your own attorney, you can do that. Okay, sir?
Sure.
Thanks, Judge Penny.
All right. Since Mr. Carroll told me of his intentions in advance, my clerk was able to find an appellate court-appointed attorney who is willing and able to take your case. So the court appoints Brandon Sloan as your appellate attorney. The court ordered transcripts of the trial back in May, so those should be available now for your attorney to review. So there should be no delay in your appeal, okay?
Nice.
Mr. Sloan, I'm sure will come see you in the next few days. All right, sir?
Yes.
All right. Is there anything?
Oh my God, this court just runs so efficiently because there are times, well, I don't know, maybe it's just different depending on the court, but sometimes you won't see transcript being asked for until after sentencing, and then it's like you're waiting for the appeal. It's like, oh, I can't do the appeal yet because I need the transcripts. We're waiting for the transcripts to come in. So, you know, Mr. Banfield needs to be thanking Judge Penny. He's just like, yeah, ungrateful little shit.
Further in this matter? All right. You're a man of the custody of the sheriff. Thank you. And Ms. Gill, I'm going to take a 10-minute recess, and I'll come back and finish the rest of the sentencing docket, okay? All right. Anything further, Ms. Sands? No? All right. The court will be in recess. All rise.
There goes Shrek. Mr. Carroll, you did your best. Now you're free. Good luck to you, Mr. Carroll. Oh, boy. Yeah, I saw that there were gems for gifts we can give during lives. I think it's like a US thing. I know it's not in the UK. There's like hype stuff. I don't know. I don't really know what it's for. Maybe it helps push your videos into the algorithm or something, but there's like these like hype coins or something they could use now for YouTube. I don't know if it's only for live streams or for videos in general. Yeah, it's California, Orange County Court, super duper slow. That's Orange County. Oh, are you speaking from experience? Hi, Teisel. How are you doing today? I was like, oh, you don't have to answer that question. But why when we don't? Yeah, I don't know what the hype is for. Maybe it just helps with the algorithm or something. Kind of interesting. All right, so Mr. Banfield got life in prison, no parole. Now, I will say there is something comforting about what Judge Penny says, though, because I think because we're so inundated with all these terrible murderers, you know, these like awful true crime cases where you think murderers and evil people are more ubiquitous than they really are. And so when Judge Penny says like, hey, you know, like out of like the hundreds of people, there's only 2 other people that I found were just as evil as you were and has no remorse. The other people that I had to sentence, it was like a fleeting moment, you know, made bad decisions. They weren't bad people. You know, there were terrible outcomes from the decisions that they made, but only 2 other people were as evil as you were. Because, you know, I think we tend to think that there's a lot more evil people out there, these type of killers. So it's a little comforting to know that Judge Penny doesn't encounter people that are evil to her, you know, like on like a fucking daily basis and stuff like that. But we are going to miss Judge Penny. Judge Penny is going to be retired, I think this summer. So I hope she enjoys, her retirement, and we will surely miss her. Maybe Judge Penny will be out of the limelight. Maybe she'll write a book. I don't know. But yeah, I hope she enjoys her retirement. But yeah, guys, that's it for today. If you guys have no idea who Brendan Banfield is, you guys have no idea what this trial is about. In the beginning of this video, I did like a mini recap, but I did it based off of memory. So if you guys want to watch the entirety recap of the trial, I do believe I did a recap of the trial on my YouTube channel. I don't know if I broke it up to 2 parts or if I just did like one big fat recap. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Super sad case, very convoluted. The trial was wild, and one of the wildest parts was having the au pair, Juliana, the co-defendant, testify against him, turn against him. And then 2 was when, in rebuttal, his supervisor came out of nowhere, was like, hey, I'm going to testify, and he's a liar. He's lying. We weren't trying to promote him. And then we had awesome Judge Penny, who was the judge in this case. It's always nice to have awesome judges. I love it when we have, a team of prosecutions, a team of prosecutors who are just, I don't know. It's just, I love their passion. And sometimes with defense attorneys, they could be hit or misses. But I think in this case, the defense attorney, not my favorite. He seemed like he tried his best. Seems like a really nice guy, but not my favorite, not my style. I like more of the aggressive approach. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Brendan Banfield, and let's see what happens. He'll probably, file for his appeal within the 30 days that was given. We'll see what happens with that. But I'm glad that, we got to hear from the family members of Christine and Joe Ryan. And I feel like a lot of times when, you're watching these cases, it's so easy to forget the victims because you're just focusing on hating the defendant and, being overwhelmed with all the evidence and just how cruel these cases can be sometimes. So I'm glad that we got to hear from the family members and hear about, their childhood, their background. And it's just super sad. But the wild part is, after we heard the victim impact statements from the family members, Brendan goes up there and he was like, oh my gosh, the system failed me. It failed Christine. It failed my daughter, Valerie. I didn't commit these crimes. Look at all this evidence that supports me, that shows otherwise. There's no cat theory, or catfish theory. And then again, throwing Christine under the bus, throwing Joe under the bus. Fucking classic Brendan Banfield. But you know who he didn't really throw under the bus? He didn't really throw Juliana under the bus. You think he's still in love with her? Still think that he's infatuated with her? He was just like, oh, Juliana didn't remember this. Juliana said this, But I felt like it was the same thing with his testimony. That when he spoke about his wife, it just seemed very emotionless. Like he was speaking matter of fact. However, when he was talking about the fucking affair starting between him and his au pair, dude, he was just like goo goo gaga. Like oh my God, the look in his eyes and him reminiscing about how like this 23-year-old girl was interested in him. Like, just a world of a difference when he talks about his wife versus the affair. I feel like it's the same thing in the sentencing today. Minimal impact done to Juliana. However, throw Christine, throw Joe under the bus. All right, guys. So that is it for today. We are still covering the sidebars of the Corey Richins trial. Keep an eye out for that. We are working on day 7 right now. And someone earlier was like, oh, like, are you almost done with it? I was like, no, we're like halfway through, dude. I'm just taking my sweet time. I'm sorry. I'm just taking my sweet time. I can go by a lot faster, but I'm kind of just on chill mode right now. I'm a little, I still feel like a lot of these like trial coverages, I'm just like, my brain just gets fried, or it's just like a lot of, it's a lot of like horrific things that you just kind of sit through. But I mean, these trials can be very entertaining. We can laugh at the defendant sometimes together, or, the attorneys when they make their mistakes and stuff like that. Or sometimes witnesses who testify in the stand, some experts. But yeah, these cases are like they're tough, they're tough. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for watching them with me. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Take care. Be with your loved ones, be with your pets, your doggos, your cats, snakes, lizards, tarantulas, whatever you guys got over there. And just enjoy your weekend, go outside, get a breath of fresh air. But I will be working on the sidebar stuff for you guys. If there's any other cases you guys are interested in. I mean, I don't know, man. Y'all are talking about the Lego case. And I try to ask you guys what the fuck the Lego case was about. But it's like Lego cases covered by streamers, something about Mormons, and this guy got arrested because of Legos. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I don't even know how to even start with this Lego case. But if there's other cases you guys are interested in, let me know. I definitely, for sure, one day will, start with the David stuff. I think a lot of times when things are in the beginning, like, oh, they get arrested and we're waiting for like a hearing date, or like if they don't allow cameras in the courtroom, which is really annoying. Those are the cases where I'm just like, like it's kind of annoying to deal with those. Courtney Clenny this year, I think. Yeah, Courtney Clenny, I will be covering that because I think they're going to be live streaming that case. I do have to check the schedule though. Do I have it on my calendar? See. Do I have it on my calendar, or if I didn't update my calendar yet? Courtney, we have Koenig sentencing August 13th. Courtney Clenny, I do believe they did announce her trial date. That just keeps getting pushed. Man, that's a wild fucking case. Courtney Clenny and her parents, they are wild. We covered the body cam footage of her parents getting arrested and being in the back of the police cab, and like, oh my gosh, dude. Oh, and also there are some cases that are happening right now that are not being live streamed. So there's the trial with the track runner. Was the victim's name Austin? There was that was kind of interesting. And then Larry Millett. Oh my gosh, that fucking case. I really wanted to watch that case, but I don't think they're live streaming it. I think they're just doing recaps of it. Yeah, that's also another interesting one. Okay, let's see what Court TV says about Courtney Clenny. Courtney Clenny, she pled not guilty. We got that. They had a pre-trial hearing recently. And they're going to have Courtney Clenny evaluated on June 9. Okay. Oh, Courtney's murder trial is scheduled to begin the third week of August. I mean, her trial's been pushed so many times. I don't... I don't even know. All right, August, third week. Courtney Clenny. Yeah, they live stream and I definitely will be watching with you guys. The Lego case is hard to cover. It's so convoluted. Interesting, voluminous. CEO wiping out his $400 million company in record time, which is bizarre. Is it the CEO of his... the Lego CEO? Oh my god, Larry Millett. Yeah, Larry. Yeah. That case, I wanted to watch that trial so bad. Because I don't think they found Maya yet. I don't think her body's ever been recovered. Right? Yeah, there's that one, and then there's also the pastor, which I don't know. It was the one where the woman purportedly committed suicide, and she had a pastor husband that was like very controlling, but they arrested the pastor. So I wanted to, keep up with that too, but I don't think any of the I don't know. I don't think they're live streaming any of that. I don't know. There's a lot of cases that I'm very interested in, but it's just not being. I don't think they're live streaming it. Mike, is that his name? Yeah. I mean, you can cover the court documents, I guess, but sometimes I like watching the hearings live, or it's really disappointing if you find out that the trials are not going to be live. It's like, oh, okay. But at least there are some really excellent, reporters and some attorneys that cover and go to the, the trials on a daily basis to cover it. So I always look forward to that as well. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Take care. And yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys being here. I miss you guys. I miss the live streams. I miss hanging out with y'all. Oh yeah, if you're new here, feel free to join the Discord. I don't know. Like button, sub button, all that good stuff. Oh, it's the CEO. Oh, Bricks and Minifigs, a Lego reseller. Okay. It's not the Lego company themselves. It's the biggest buyer of the secondhand Legos. They sold thousands of dollars worth of Legos from a collector. Oh boy. All right. You know what? That sounds really interesting. I'll take a look into it in YouTube. You've been following the Lynette Hooker Bahamas case. I've never heard of that one. Oh, the cruise ship murder. Federal. Oh, the cruise ship murder, the one with the step sibling. That one looks really interesting. Yeah. Do we know what the motive was for that one? Or is this stepbrother just like unhinged or something like that? Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other cases that were interesting. And then we also briefly covered the Reiner case. That one's a really sad one. Nick Reiner allegedly murdering his parents. Wild. All right, guys. Have a good one. Take care. And I will see y'all later. I'll see you guys in the Discord. Feel free to join Discord if you guys want to. We do have a... Actually, I don't want to talk about the second channel. I haven't frozen with the second channel. It's been a while. It's been busy. Hopefully soon. All right, y'all. Take care. See you later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Also, I watched Scary Movie 6 and oh my God, it was... I don't know. To me, it wasn't funny. That's all I have to say.